Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. On this episode, we are going to be making red velvet brownies from Lazarus Lynch's Son of a Southern Chef cookbook. I have it right here so I can refer to it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of red velvet, but I do like brownies. And he says that this was kind of a mistake. So he was going for a cake, but ended up with something that was more like brownies. So he decided just let them be brownies. So we're gonna do that. My kids actually picked out this recipe, so hopefully they will enjoy it. I have everything I need for the brownies themselves here. And then after that's done and after it cools, we're going to frost them with the cream cheese frosting. So I have everything that I need for the frosting back here because you want the butter and the cream cheese to all be at room temperature. So I'm just gonna leave those out until we're ready. This butter that I'm going to use for the brownies is also a little colder than room temperature, but not much. And the eggs are also supposed to be room temperature. They've been out for, I don't know, an hour to hour and a half probably. So that'll be fine. He says that you can use a stand mixer or a hand mixer, just whatever you have is fine. I'm sure you could do it by hand. It'll just be a lot more work. But so I'm not gonna prep my pan just yet, just because I won't be able to show you that right now because I'm all set up for this. So we're gonna go ahead and make the batter first, even though the first step in the recipe is to prep your pan. Also, I do have the oven preheating though, 350 degrees. So we're supposed to sift some stuff together into a bowl that I completely forgot. So let me go ahead and get that. You won't be able to see this very well, but it'll be fine. So we're going to put, we've got some flour here, just all-purpose flour. I'm just going to sift using this, strainer, something like that, sifter, strainer, whatever. So I'm gonna get that going through, and now we're gonna put through our cocoa powder. It does not say to use Dutch processed cocoa powder, but apparently that's about all I have right now, so that's what I am using. So we're sifting this together. I'm gonna have to go get a spoon to push the rest of that through there. So I need the spoon to just sort of break up the clumps and get them pushed through so that we don't have clumps. And I'm just gonna put that spoon in there. I just kind of mix it up just because, I don't know, because I want to. Oh, we also supposed to sift our salt. I'm not gonna worry about that, honestly. We'll put the salt in by itself later because that's what I want to do. Anyway, it won't make a big difference. And so now we've got, now we're ready for our mixer. I've got some butter. This is unsalted butter, like I said, at or around room temperature. I read something or saw a video recently from a baker who says that it doesn't actually have to be at room temperature. It'll just take a little bit longer to cream. Probably said that already in one of these videos. But it's still easy enough. But if you forget, it's fine. So we're going to put our butter, and our sugar. This is an awful lot of sugar. Like it barely fit into my bowl here, but we're gonna put all of that in there. Try not to spill it. And we're going to beat this at medium speed until light and fluffy. He says about 3 minutes. We'll see. While that's going, I'm gonna go get a spatula so I can scrape it down and mix some stuff in later because we have to do that by hand as well. So now this is still looking very sugary. I don't know with the butter to sugar ratio we have that we're gonna get any more creamy than this. I mean, it's pretty fluffy, I guess, which is, you know, one of the things that he tells you to look for. But I'm gonna let it go just another minute or so, and then we'll continue with the recipe, because I think this is about the best we're gonna get. It doesn't seem to be changing at all, so I'm gonna go with it as is. And the next thing we do is add our eggs one at a time. I thought that's what it said. I just want to verify. So one at a time, we're gonna add our eggs and get those mixed in. All right. Now with the eggs providing a little more moisture, we're getting more of a creamy vibe here. So we're gonna keep going with that. So this is what I was looking, kind of the texture I was thinking I would see with just the butter and the sugar, but that's okay. This is what we got now. 2 more eggs. All right, last one. Now I'm going to scrape this down one more time before I call this good for the eggs. And before I beat it in again, I am going to add my salt, since I did not add that to my dry ingredients. I'm just going to go ahead and add my salt. He calls for a fine sea salt. Fine sea salt. So I'm going to go ahead and just, this is what I happen to have. Add that. It's kind of a gray salt. I don't know if they call it, but it's not super white. I'm gonna just give this a bit of a mix. Okay. So now, unusually, we're going to take this off of the mixer and fold in the flour and the other dry ingredients that we sifted together. But since we're going to be putting this back on the mixer, I'm not going to worry about taking the beater off just yet. I'm just going to leave that there. And it says to fold the flour mixture into the butter mixture with a spatula. So I'm just going to pour all of this in here. There we go. And now I'm gonna fold it. I'm gonna put this, since I am right-handed, I'm gonna put this on this hand and just fold this into the butter and eggs as well as I can. This seems very dry. Now, brownie batters usually are pretty dry, so, and hard to mix, because that's just how you get the brownie texture, I think. But that makes it a little more difficult here. We're gonna call that good for the folding, and then we put this back in here and beat it on medium speed until smooth. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Starting slow. All right, I mean, that's pretty smooth, and it is, you know, thick like I would expect a brownie batter to be. We still have a little bit more liquid ingredients to add to this though, so let's see. We have some vanilla. And also, this is an interesting ingredient that I wasn't expecting. I don't know if it's because of red velvet or what, but we're adding a little bit of white vinegar. I just have a really huge jar, bottle of it, so I put some into a small container so that I would not dump way too much into my dough. So there we go. And then some vanilla. I don't care if I dump a little bit too much of this in there, it'll be fine. And then the red. So this calls for basically this entire bottle of red food coloring, and I already took it was a brand new bottle, I already took the protective seal off of it, which you can see is why I've got red all over my hands, and we're just going to dump all of this in here. Probably should have just taken the lid off, but that wasn't too bad. All right, and now we're going to mix it until well combined. Now it's interesting, he says mix it until well combined and then use a rubber spatula to mix the coloring throughout. So I don't know if it's not gonna mix super well, but now I'm gonna use my spatula and scrape down the sides because I've got a bunch of this red food coloring just hanging out on the side. My hands are gonna be pink later. There we go. All right, give it another little bit of a mix and then I'll check with the spatula to make sure it's all fully incorporated. Okay, we're gonna call that good, and now I'm gonna try to clean off this paddle as best as I can. So now I'm gonna take this off and I'm going to move my mixer out of the way. And we're just gonna make sure that I've gotten all of that food coloring mixed in well, that there's nothing hanging out on the bottom that's not. You can see a few brown streaks. This is a lot of brownies. That's the batter done. I'm gonna clean up a little bit and we'll be back to show you how to put the pan, how to prepare the pan, and then we'll get them in the oven. So I've got a 9x13 glass pan. It does not say, it's just 9 by 13 baking pan. And I've got my parchment sheet, which I buy, as a specific sheet. And what I'm gonna do, you can put a little bit of butter, especially in the corners, on the sides, to kind of help the parchment stick. But it's not super important. I don't usually do this, but he does say to spray it with cooking spray. As we all know, I don't keep that. So what I do is I lay it down and then I try to press in and get the 4 corners in, and then using some kitchen scissors, I just cut down the corner in whatever way that it has decided to fold itself, because really it does not matter. It works just about however it wants to. Even sort of on this corner right here, like this, where it's, there we go. And then right here. So there we go. And we have a parchment lined baking dish. And now I'm going to put this in the pan, make it pretty flat, and we're going to bake it for about 45 minutes until a toothpick comes out almost clean. If it's clean, a toothpick in the center is completely clean, your brownies are overdone. In my opinion, your brownies are overdone. Of course, you make your brownies how you like them. I prefer mine on the underdone side, not the overdone side. Now, brownie batter being thick is a little more difficult to get even than a cake batter, but it should be fine. As the butter, melts in the oven, it will even out a little bit, but not as much as a cake would. So, all right, I'm gonna get as much of this off as I can. Put this in the oven for 45 minutes, and clean up my bowl because I want to use that for my frosting as well. So, all right. We'll let you know how it looks in about 45 minutes, but it also then needs to cool completely before we frost it. So that'll take at least another like 40 minutes, an hour or so after that. And you can hurry that by putting it in the refrigerator or freezer if you have room, but we'll just let it cool on the countertop. So I'll be back when it's time to make our frosting. Okay. At 45 minutes, we're checking. I think that is, it's not crumbs, it's still pretty wet. Let me see. Check the other side. Check. Usually I check sort of a couple inches in. Yeah, it's still pretty wet. We're gonna let it go for maybe 5 more minutes. Our brownies have been out of the oven for a few hours at this point, probably like 3 hours, so they're plenty cool. I just left them on the counter. They're fine. But you just want them to be entirely room temperature before you ice them, frost them, whatever. But so now we're going to make our frosting, and it is, to go with the red velvet, a cream cheese based frosting. And these, I had to check myself. I had the wrong amount of butter and cream cheese out, but these have all been out for a while. To be at room temperature. So I've got a little bit of unsalted butter, but it is mostly cream cheese. And I've got my whisk attachment, as you can see, on my stand mixer. And I'm just gonna put all of this, the cream cheese and the butter, in here. And it's very, very soft. Go. Just trying to get it all in there. All right, I'm gonna throw these away and wash my hands a bit just because they're messy. So I've got just the butter and the cream cheese, and I'm going to whisk these, just whip until they're smooth, scraping down the sides as needed, just until they're really smooth and mixed together. Starting to come together, and I'm going to wipe down the sides once. Wipe down the sides one more time, just to make sure we get everything incorporated and get everything out of there, at least the bulk of it. There we go. Lost a little bit. We're gonna call that done. Didn't take long. And now we're going to add basically the rest of the ingredients. It's not that difficult. You need just a pinch. I'm just gonna grab a little bit with my spoon of more of the same sea salt I used in the brownies. And then some more vanilla. And some confectioner sugar. Now I'm going to put this in like half and half, I think, just to just so it doesn't go poof all over the place. And I'm gonna start it slow and get it all over the place. There we go. Some more sugar. Must have been some water in my measuring cup. Need to scrape it down again. Probably getting it everywhere, honestly. Okay. I think we're pretty much there. He says just whip it until it is light and fluffy. And I think we're pretty light. It's pretty easy to spread right now. I'm gonna take a little taste. It's good. What I like about a cream cheese icing is that it's not too sweet. The cream cheese sort of gives it a little bit more of the tartness and offsets the plain sugar flavor. All right, we're gonna call that done. I'm gonna clean up a little bit and then we're gonna frost our brownies. So the really good thing about parchment paper with brownies is that you can use the parchment paper to take it, the whole block of it, out of your pan. And then your pan is not very dirty. And of course, they're not going to stick to the parchment paper. So you can see, you can just pull it off and then you can slice these and put them on a plate, whatever. So he says to frost them like this and then slice them. So I'm gonna get an offset spatula. I only have one of these, but it's very helpful for frosting. So I'm just going to plop some frosting on here. So I took a little video the first time I tested the brownies and I didn't think they were done. I cooked it another 10 minutes. So I cooked it for a total of 55 minutes, testing it every 5. And they weren't a whole lot different at 55 minutes, but I decided to go ahead and pull them out anyway. So this is not what his brownies look like. He did a very cute domino effect on his, cut them up and piped some of the frosting on and made them look like pretty dominoes, but this is what the instructions say to do. So that's what we're doing. And I do not have the time or the patience to frost these in a really pretty manner today. Maybe another time. Just trying to make sure we get a decent layer here. Now, this frosting will stick to my knife, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut into them and see, so you can see what they look like on camera and how they cut. I usually like to use my long, I think this is a carving knife for this. And I'm just gonna cut them. I'm not gonna cut them too big. He says it serves 12 to 24, so. And that getting some crumblies off the top is fully expected. And you should dust the top with the extra crumbs to make it a little prettier. There we go. So let's see what this edge looks like. They look very fudgy, but pretty well done to me. So that's it. I'll probably put the rest of this frosting, because I don't think we needed all of it, into the refrigerator, and it'll last a while like that, because it's really just sugar and the dairy that will last a while, like cream cheese and butter. last pretty much forever. Well, not forever, but anyway. So that'll last in the refrigerator for a while, and maybe I'll make some cupcakes or something, and we'll see how we can use that up. But there we go. We have our red velvet brownies. Thanks for watching. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make red velvet brownies from Lazarus Lynch's Son of a Southern Chef cookbook. And I have a couple problems with this recipe for me. Number one, mine do not look nearly as beautifully red as the ones in this, in the pictures in the book. It doesn't really matter. It's just they're really very red in the pictures, and mine were a more muted red, which is fine. Even though I did follow the recipe exactly, it might depend on the type of food coloring you use. I just used, what I find in the regular grocery store, liquid food coloring. And for me, there wasn't a lot of chocolate flavor. I felt like they were very sweet and not very rich and chocolatey, which is what I prefer in a brownie. The cream cheese frosting was really good and was a great addition to it, I thought. But again, actually it didn't really add to the sweet because the cream cheese frosting is not super sweet comparatively to other frostings because it has a little bit of the tang from the cream cheese. But my kids don't really like frosting, so I don't know why they requested that I make a brownie recipe that had frosting, but that's okay. But it made quite a lot of the frosting. I think it was more than we needed for the recipe. Of course, you could put more on it if you prefer. So I don't think I'll be making these again. If you like red velvet and you like brownies, I'm sure they're delicious for that, but not my favorite kind of brownie. So let me know in the comments, what's your favorite kind of brownie? I like something very, very chocolatey, fudgy. I don't like edges. I think that is probably pretty controversial, whether you're an edge or a center brownie person. Let me know that in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm used to it. Anyway, yeah, but they were relatively easy. He uses a stand mixer in this one, but I'm sure, again, a hand mixer would be fine, which he uses in some of his other recipes. And yeah, they're not hard, but I just didn't think that it's the brownie recipe that I'll use again. You might decide differently. If you enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and come back and watch me make something else next week.